Okay, let's get started. Today's weekly town hall meeting, February 6th, 2023. Today's agenda is project and development updates, marketing and content updates, collaborations, Q&A. Robinson, please start us off with project and development updates.
Thanks, Kelly. Let's start with our engineering metrics as usual. So we have the speed or the contribution that's a little bit on the lower side. It looks like so. It's really the time that we are taking to release the products. It's so previous week it was around 16. So this week it has gone up to 49. So that's an area we need to work on. Let's go to the next slide. And the deployments or the number of production releases that we made. So this is showing an improvement thanks to the increased number of deployments and releases happening in the year next. I think we need to make this at least 2 per week. So the trend, at least the trend looks pretty positive for this. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The pull requests on the next slide. So the total number of pull requests, that's also on the higher side. From the 10 in the previous week, we have increased to 12. The last one in our metric is the production failures, which is constant due to a previous week also, which was 33. This week also we have the same number. So what has happened is we had in the Nexus production release, there was a hotfix released. So that is the one issue which is triggered, showing a higher number of production failures. So in general, our quality metrics and other metrics are now it we are able to measure them, and we are able to pinpoint which are the areas we need to prioritize and focus. For example, right now, the time for releases that is showing an upward trend, like close to 2 months, 50 days. So we need to make sure that we are doing more releases. And we have only two active products at this point, the blockchain product and the Next. So each and every one should be attempting to make sure that we have at least one release happening on a bi-weekly basis, so that we can maintain a healthy pace. That's the engineering metric. Let's go to the next slide. Now on the product updates, let's start with the blockchain updates. So we are continuing to work on the alpha release preparations. And our sole focus has been this, with little or no work happening on the substrate-based R&D. So the current status is that we are nearly ready to merge all the features to develop branch to prepare a release. So we have identified a few regression items which is being worked on right now. Uh, Overall, uh, the plan for release looks pretty stable. Two more major regression items are identified, which has been worked on right now, and the entirety of blockchain team is working on this. We also have a few crashes reported by the QA. Now, apart from the this merge effort, we are also looking into those crashes. Let's go to the next slide. Just want to give a summary of the upcoming features. So we have the Ethereum Suns with support for both ETH as well as ERC20 tokens. So the previous weeks I was not mentioning ERC20 here. So now it looks like we'll also be able to release ERC20 in the upcoming alpha release. So both the native token and a subset of ERC20 tokens, which we're going to whitelist, they will be supported in the alpha release. Now on this ERC20, we are not going to support the entirety of the ecosystem or entirety of available tokens, but we're going to be starting with few of them, whitelist, uh, verify what's happening, and then move to the next level. So in the mainnet, it is also possible that when we're doing the mainnet release, uh, we may end up deciding to disable support for ERC20. That also might happen. So, in addition to the sun's separation into logical groups, that seems to be working fairly fine now. Uh, and on the Bitcoin side, we've been talking about bringing in like Bitcoin support. So that is also uh, seems to be working fine in the developed editions of the code base. Now, something that we have figured out with Bitcoin is that the fee calculation, which was natively done by Bitcoin D, it was not available with Bitcoin, so we had to experiment a lot. So initially, we tried with external APIs. Then we have our own implementation now, which is which is returning values in line with both Bitcoin D as well as external API providers. And the last version feature being the connection pools. It's not yet merged, but we are verifying support for connection pools as well. Okay, that's the blockchain teams updates. Moving on to next, so we have a small version upgrade here, and release point 5.2 is available. And so previously we had 0.51. The difference between these two is that there were a few browser compatibility issues. Those are addressed in 0.52. Let's go to the next slide. So this upcoming release or a release candidate point 0.60. This release candidate is under verification, and this is going to bring in a lot of improvements to the UI, especially the market screen. So we've added the typical trade view based charts to the market screen. So earlier our screens were a little empty, or compared with other exchanges, our screens were not having those fancy charts and graphs. So now we have brought in those charts as well, and this is actively under QA. So there seems to be a few browser incompatibility issues, etc., which is being actively worked on. So once we have those items completed, we'll have a soft release for uh, this one with support for all these features that is being worked on. Okay, that's next. Please go to the next slide. The Python library. So here what's happening is we have completed the development, but still verifying the publishing this library to PyPy. It's taking a little bit of time because we don't have a full-time resource working on this. But we have to knock this out fairly quickly because it's been more than a month that we're working on this. So that's a shout out to everybody who's working on this. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So we also have a few initiatives. So there's a list of new initiatives that we have started in the last couple of weeks. So the first one being easy to develop environment for DApp developers based on the current Peerplays code base. That is a Peerplays graphene code base. So since we are slowly moving towards Peerplays 2, whatever DApp development that's happening, and the collaborators who will be planning to develop, they need a easy to launch and maintain environment, an environment that is easy to launch and maintain. So that's being the objective behind this initiative is to create such an environment. So that's in progress. Another item is we're trying to come up with a public testnet in collaboration with the witnesses. So the idea here is we'll have a public testnet similar to what we had with Petrus, and the major apps including Nex and the the prediction market features. We're planning to have those also available in this testnet. Uh, Now moving on to the Peerplays 2 side. Now one of the interesting aspects with Peerplays 2 is that we are bringing in smart contracts and compatibility with Ethereum mainnet, as well as the uh, tooling like UI tooling, UI libraries, or numerous smart contract libraries, etc. So we're starting an initiative to identify best practices so that when we are ready with Payplace 2, there is already a bunch of guidelines available to guide the app developers. So it's kind of a forward-looking initiative that we have kickstarted. And the last one being a performance testing for the Sun functionality. So this is another outstanding item for a while. So originally we attempted to do the performance testing with a formal performance testing tool called Caliper, which was originally from Huawei, and it's used in the Hyperledger and Ethereum ecosystem. Now it's a uh, Linux Foundation project, so we try to bring it, but unfortunately, due to the issues with the JavaScript library, we were not able to uh, get Caliper working properly. So a performance testing initiative had taken a uh, back it was taken a back seat. So now we have come up with this idea of doing the same with the use of CLI valid commands. So we are looking at various ways to do this. One is obviously to write code in a language that supports multi-threading. uh, we're also looking at Nimbal and JMeter to see whether we can use those tools to uh, perform this benchmark. So that's the major updates from the blockchain team. Sorry, from the development team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robinson. Michael, marketing content updates, please.
Thank you, Kelly. Everyone. Happy Monday. I wanted to give a quick update on the first few days of activity of the DEX campaign. As you guys know, this launched on Wednesday of last week. I'm sharing some copies of the ads that we're running and sort of the metrics on impressions and clicks for the first 5 days of the campaign. We're getting close to 100,000 for the week. All good positive news for the first few days of the campaign. In terms of the impact of the campaign on our website metrics, we have pretty strong increases of activity in terms of users, sessions, and page views versus last week. So everything seems to be working well. The campaign was set up without any flags or issues from Facebook. So really positive news. I think 92% of the users who visited our website within week one of the campaign were new to our website. So that's really good news in terms of who we're actually attracting to the website during the campaign. Over 76% of all page views were directed towards the DEX landing page, which is all of the preliminary assets that the community needs and non-community members to get started. So that is also excellent news. And I'm just throwing in a graphic to display the split between users of the website between mobile, desktop, and tablet. I also wanted to share some metrics on website activity for January of 2023 versus December of 2022. Again, pretty large spikes in activity, which I think is all positive for us as we get through 2023. Again, encouragingly, the DEX landing page throughout that period was the number one page that people are accessing. Vitor and I will continue to provide weekly updates on the campaign as we go through the next 3 weeks. And once concluded, we'll give a complete summary of the activity once the campaign is concluded. We continue to send out external and internal communications with respect to Peerplays activities. Most recently of last week was obviously the announcement of the Peerplays DEX launching on February 14th. That received a fairly standard open rate with respect to our weekly emails, so we're encouraged with that. In support of Elka's performance program, an email was sent out to all staff on Thursday of last week that contains all the resources you guys need to familiarize yourself with the program, familiarize yourself with the tools, familiarize yourself with the methodology in advance of this week's training message. meetings with Alka. So that is your one-stop shop for everything related to the performance management program, and everyone is encouraged to take a look and familiarize themselves with the plans for the program. Scenes continues to move forward. I know that Robert posted an update in the Scenes channel on Rocket Chat this morning. That is all wonderful. The next meeting for Vlad is Thursday of this week. We are moving through the list of resolved issues, including some basic functionality, and we have some unresolved issues that will be addressed this week. Vlad's also going to be producing some videos with respect to the concepts around scenes, how it's used, and how we can integrate it into our communications as an organization. So hopefully I'll be able to provide an update on those next week. Again, Android app is ready to use for you guys, and the development of the App Store authentication for Apple is still ongoing. That is it for this week. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Michael. Jonathan, collaboration update, please.
Hello. So these are the collaboration updates for this past week with Peerplays. In the gaming sector, Gaming Benefits Corporation, that is in the regulated charitable gaming sector. We had a number of calls on that in the meetup. We went through another meeting in regards to the demo that went through their application, and we were able to map out where we are going to require certain data points that are going to talk to the blockchain. So that is well underway. In the video sector, 3Speak Network. So we gave some updates on this in the past, but we haven't had many updates since. But in regards to 3Speak Network, we did have a meeting this past week where we talked about their utilization of the new feature in Next, which incorporates the swap functions, which includes Hive to Bitcoin type functions, which is what they were most interested in. So that call ended on a positive note. They're going to be looking to integrate more of that feature into the way that their network works. And so expect to hear more positive news on that. But aside from that, that's pretty much all the work we're going to be doing with 3Speak going into the future. In standards, the Government Blockchain Association, in regards to decentralized ID, as well as gaming, we have engaged with their work group in order to help with forming the standards there. We attended those meetings this past week, and just starting to get our feet wet in terms of getting familiar with what's going on, but we are excited to be able to continue to work with them on that. So that will be ongoing. In the community sector, Avalon Meta with the Scenes Plus community platform. Michael gave a pretty good update on that just now, so there isn't too much more for me to say on that, aside from things are moving positive in that direction, and we can expect to see more on that soon. Dedicated team member updates. So we periodically, look at what's going on with the resources with Peerplays and what we're doing in terms of moving forward and projects that are upcoming. And so after assessing the resources we had on staff and what was going on with our upcoming projects, we decided that we were going to let go of Kritika. She was no longer going to be working with us, senior product designer. Simply put, she had certain skill sets that were awesome for the development of Next, which if you go and use the Next interface, all that work, that's thanks to Kritika. So if you are really impressed with it, if you're really impressed with the work there, then you have her to thank for it mostly. But as far as like future work that we have with projects like Together, that's been mentioned in previous updates, we just require a different kind of skill set. So we had to make the decision to look for somebody with a different skill set from what Kritika could provide. So we are short one team member this week, but we are looking at how we might be able to find the resources necessary we need to go forward. So those are the updates for the collaboration and dedicated team members this past week.
Thank you, Jonathan. Okay, we've had 3 questions come in from the community for this week. Jonathan, these questions are for you. I'll first open it up to anybody here. Okay, Jonathan, your first question. How many witnesses are needed to run 6 Pro?
So for 6 Pro to work, all witnesses need to run the boss system. That's the what we called the bookie oracle system back in the day, to be able to support 6 Pro, to get data feeds into it. The reason for that is because there has to be a consensus from all the witnesses to feed that data into the blockchain. So we actually have done extensive work to simplify running Boss compared to the past implementations. It was a major problem in the past for witnesses to run Boss because it was it wasn't very easy to run in the past. But we did a lot of work to make it simpler. So if the current witnesses would coordinate with the community to support this, to make sure that everyone's running Boss and that there will be available there will be available data to input to the blockchain, then that would essentially provide all the necessary data feeds needed for 6 Pro to run.
Thank you. Second question. What happened to 6 Pro? Is it included in our 2023 plans?
Yeah, so 6 Pro is available for download to anyone who wants to set it up. Anyone who has any kind of intrinsic interest in 6 Pro, running it and supporting it with it could be run with PPY, it could be run with Bitcoin, it could be run with Hive backed dollars, and next month we'll have support for Ethereum. Has all the tools that are needed to get that done are all available online. So they can be able to download that from the repos and start using it right away. This is a community tool. It requires community engagement if it will be utilized to create a sports betting exchange. Just to give a little bit of a throwback, since 2018, the dev team and PBSA as an organization has explained that they're not in a position to act as an operator to these tools. They can't be running it themselves. It's meant to be a community project. From the time it was designed, it was meant to be something that's decentralized. So the community really needs to pick up those tools, start using them, and then that will make it so that 6 Pro becomes a real thing, I guess. It's something that's live for everyone to use. It was designed that way. So for 2023, it would be exciting for that to happen. If the community decides to rally around it, then that certainly can happen in 2023. It's not necessarily something that we need to plan for. It's something that the community simply can decide to move with.
Thank you. What can you say about the new Dex UI? How is it different or better than the old one?
Well, the only thing I could really say would be just take a look at it and see how much better it is from the old one. Anybody who looks at the old one compared to the new one would definitely be able to see the differences. And every person is going to like some particular new feature. So I would highly suggest taking it for a spin and just decide for yourself, because the difference between the old decks and the new decks is night and day. Like they're completely not even in the same league. So all you got to do is use it, and you'll see for yourself just how different and better it is than the old one.
Thank you. That concludes the questions that came in from the community for this week. Thank you, everybody, for attending this week's town hall. We will see you next week, and have a great week.